Hello and welcome to another Doctor's Assistant 1 video. Today I'm doing a review of the Ninth Doctor's Collector set, which features a holographic Ninth Doctor, a Rose action figure variant, an interesting one, from I think The End of the World, and a Ninth Doctor, get this, from a comic book cover. I think first of all I'll start from the left going to right, so I'll start off with the holographic Ninth Doctor. I think I do like this one, other than the fact that it's got this sort of black stripe effect over it. I think that's the one thing that I really dislike about it. That really does throw me off. Now, I have got... Oops, sorry about the camera jolt there. I have got the 10th Doctor, holographic 10th Doctor here from which was an exclusive BBC shop, or BBC shop exclusive even, here as a comparison. Now this one doesn't have that speckled effect, although I suppose it does have bits of sort of a grey for the grey tie and the hair and the detailing on the face and whatnot, which is kind of what this one has, I guess. If you look at the face, it's got this sort of, you know, there are greys where the lips, the eyebrows are and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, if you pull back the jacket as well, you've got all the interior gubbins of how the figure's been made and stuff. I do like the idea of a holographic Ninth Doctor, because obviously, as I've just shown earlier, it's not unprecedented to get a holographic Doctor at all. Although, yeah, so each have their own pros and cons, I suppose, these holographic ones, because, again, I like the fact that this one doesn't have any of these grey stripes, but this one, the 10th Doctor one, has this sort of more glossier, spackled, sort of sparkly effect to it, which is a bit odd. I'm not sure why they did that, although I guess the only thing I can think of as to why maybe they've added this sort of black like stripe thing is to go with the idea, the illusion of like a old school sort of holographic early 2000s, sort of 2004-5 era sort of, you know, sort of staticky, sort of layered sort of image, you know. Like, I just love the idea that even character options are kind of like, oh, let's make a holographic Ninth Doctor figure, oh, but it has to kind of look a bit shoddy or a bit, you know, faulty, or do you know what I mean? Like they've tried to sort of mimic that, if that makes sense, maybe, potentially. It still has the standard articulation of the figure, so the hands or the arms can go full 360 and, you know, move at sides, and hands can move full 360, and then the head can move full 360. It is the original sort of head sculpt as well of the Ninth Doctor, which we'll come on to later, I guess, in the review of the triple pack, and the legs can move and stuff as well. So you can get him in some dynamic poses if you wanted a holographic Ninth Doctor to be in dynamic poses, I guess. And I like the fact that, as well, this will be really good for taking pictures of. I think that's one plus side to holographic figures, whether it be the Ninth Doctor, the 10th Doctor, or that holographic Dalek. I think they make for really fun photography and pictures, because obviously if all you do is just stick a light behind this guy and it'll look really interesting and really cool looking, so you don't really have to do a lot there with it, if that makes sense. Like the figure itself being translucent or made of a translucent plastic kind of does a lot of the work for you, if that makes sense. So yeah, it's a shame we don't have like a holographic Sonic. That'd have been really nice, although I suppose that would have that'd have been a new cost. But as I say, it's a very interesting, unique, and very surprising, I'll be honest, variant of the Ninth Doctor that I wasn't anticipating, but I'm very happy that we have, as Bad Wolf Party of the Ways is easily up there in my top 10 favourite Doctor Who stories of all time. Maybe top 10, top 20, top 20 or top 10, maybe even top 10, yeah. Favourite Doctor Who stories of all time. And yeah, it's just awesome to have like this figure from the iconic finale of that series, you know, the first ever regen of the new Doctor Who, you know, which has been going on for like, what, like 16, 17 years now, so I guess we'd be like near the end of the Tom Baker years if we were in classic Doctor Who terms, which is kind of fucking bonkers to think about. But yeah, okay, so he's out of the way now. Then I think I've got the original one of this somewhere, but I don't have that to hand to compare with. But as I said earlier in the review, I think this is meant to be like her costume from The End of the World. I think the jacket is kind of meant to be like that. It's kind of like a retro action figure in so much as it's like a re-release of that version of her in this sort of weird power stance sort of thing, which then came with like a Dalek, I think, and then the other Dalek came with a disco dance in Ninth Doctor, and that were supposed to actually lock into each other's sort of positions and stuff, and like maybe fight or some bollocks. I don't know, but yeah, the sort of midsection, the waist does swivel all the way, and you can, you know, just sort of extend the legs out like that, and kind of rotate, I guess, swivel the hands, I mean the arms even, and there's no articulation in their hands, although the detailing is decent, I guess, with this sort of like zip for the red jacket, and the nice sort of grey denim trousers and the white for the shoes and that. It does very much look like Billie Piper, I guess, of that time period and that. Although I guess it's not that surprising that they've, I suppose, re-released a sort of pre-existing Rose Tyler, because Billie Piper, since having a kiddo, or kids, has said that they can't ever make any more action figures of her, so, or she's not okay with that happening, so I guess character options are kind of like limited to what they can do with that character now moving forward, which is, I'll be honest, very annoying, because, you know, she's like the first companion of the new series, so it would be nice to have got lots of different variants of this figure, and or character even. Moving on to the last figure, we've got the Ninth Doctor from a comic book cover. He's got this sort of dark purple, or light purple even, sort of jumper, whereas in the original figure, I've got here a dark red figure. He's in black. He's in a black leather jacket on the original one with black trousers and black boots. Here he's got black boots. He's got the sort of dark blue denim trousers with sort of a more War Doctor-y sort of brown, leathered brown sort of jacket, which is a bit odd to me. And if you haven't already noticed, the head sculpt is different. This is the new head sculpt. Sorry for the terrible lighting, but this is the new, softer, new head sculpt, because they don't have the original mould and or likeness to Eccleston anymore. And like Batman March pointed out, on one side of the new one, they don't have the freckle or whatever it is. Yeah, I think it's a freckle on the figure. But yeah, I really like the original texture of the black leather jacket. The new one is new and is different. But yeah, I don't know. It's definitely a different sort of feel to it, I suppose. The articulation is pretty much the same with both Ninth Doctors. You know, 360 heads and hands, arms even can move, and likewise with the Sonic one and the non-Sonic hand and that. So you can get him in some decent dynamic poses, I suppose, for a character options figure. But yeah, I might still just keep the original one on the shelf, I think. Yeah, I don't know what else they could have done here. I mean, I know Batman March suggested maybe a version of the Ninth Doctor that you very briefly see in that picture of the Daniels family with like a Victorian getup, but I think that's very niche, and that's very niche. But then obviously this is also quite niche. But then also it's an action figure based off a variant cover, I think a variant cover, or maybe the standard. No, I don't think it was the standard cover for Titan Comics, but it was a variant cover which then had like an action figure of the Ninth Doctor in a like Doctor Who action figure box sort of thing. So I guess it kind of almost probably screamed to them, make an action figure of that, you know. I think this one, I'm not just saying this because I prefer Eccleston over Tennant, but I think this one as an action figure kind of makes more sense than the comic book version of the 10th Doctor, personally. in my humble opinion, and it's really nice to finally get another version of the Ninth Doctor, even though I am slightly more biased to just liking the original one. Yeah, it's weird. This bit as well on the back, the sort of strap thing hangs lower, or like goes down a bit on the back of this one, whereas on the original one it just goes all the way across. I'm not sure if that's accurate. And there are more like sort of creases and bumps and texture, like leather texturing sort of effects to this original one, whereas this one's just a bit more like simpler, I guess, in design in some in some ways. But then, as I say, you've got the sort of nicer, sort of softer, sort of more what's the right word, maybe this is like a later version of the Ninth Doctor where he's a bit more sort of I don't want to say jolly, but a bit more, for lack of a better term, sanded down, and a bit more approachable, a bit more of an approachable Ninth Doctor, whereas this is the OG, you know, I'm gonna fucking fuck you up sort of Ninth Doctor, you know, sort of thing, with a bit less of a nice sort of approachable sort of face about it. But yeah, I think the Ninth Doctor collector's set is a really nice surprise for the end of the year, I think, and it's cool that I like the fact that character have kind of bookended the 3-packs with like one from the latest series of Doctor Who with Flux, and then they've obviously gone back to the sort of, well, not OG, but like the sort of older now Ninth Doctor era. So either way, if you're more of a fan of what's just come out with Flux, then you'll be getting that set, and if you're not, then hopefully this is the set for you, because hopefully the idea is that people have still got, or people have got nostalgia for this series, even though, you know, most people only really like him, Mr. Tennant, as opposed to Eccleston, which is, you know, very sad, in my humble opinion. But yeah, and I think this set retails for $21.99 here in the UK, like the other 3-pack that I've reviewed earlier this year, and it's exclusive to B&M and the B&M website, which is also where I picked this one up. I got it from the website. I think it's a well-earned sort of 8 out of 10, maybe even, yeah, an 8 / maybe 8.5 out of 10. I think the only figure that I'm not too keen on is maybe the Rose figure, but I guess character, as I said earlier in the review, are limited to what they can do with Rose as an action figure, and I suppose with the controversy of one John Barrowman / Captain Jack, maybe they weren't ready or willing to re-release or update or do anything with a Captain Jack variant, so then obviously the only other character you've got is Rose, and then obviously there are controversies with Noel Clarke, so maybe they weren't going to do anything with his character and or action figures, so yeah, maybe they were limited in that sense. But yeah, thanks for watching. Please do comment, rate and subscribe to the channel.